But yeah, I got the pneumothorax. I'm on this tube right now that's connected to a suction full time. And if I lose suction, my lung will deflate again and I'm going to be in trouble.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been stuck here to this machine now for a little over 3 weeks. And I've been approved to get a lung transplant. And I just went on the list yesterday, and literally any second this phone could ring and life's going to change.
Hey everybody, Tyson with Lung Transplant Experience. This is my friend Dan Torgeson. Back in February we recorded this. Dan was stuck in the hospital. He had a sudden pneumothorax. He'd been dealing with lung disease for over 10 years and found himself suddenly in the hospital where he wasn't going to leave until he had his lung transplant. And we did a quick recording, grabbed all my camera gear, ran out there. That was the first recording of Lung Transplant Experience. And he actually got the phone call, I think about a day, maybe 2 days after we did that recording. And I'm recording like this because I've got vocal cord damage. It's actually something I've been dealing with since I had my transplant. I've got a video coming out where I'm going to be explaining all about vocal cord damage. I guess not all about, but quite a bit. It's actually going to be slowing down my YouTube creation and has been lately. It's been causing me quite a bit of problems, but a little bit as expected, and I'll get into that in that video. But I also created a TikTok where I do some more shorts, something that actually works a little bit better for this. I'm going to be getting into shorts on YouTube as well. And yeah, so just a quick update on Dan. We did another recording of it just last week. I did a follow-up interview with him. He's doing great. And yeah, let's go back in time and see what Dan had to say before his transplant. All right. Well, Dan, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, how old you are and what you did in life and what got you to where you're at right now.
Oh, wow. Hey, I'm Dan Torgeson, 43 years old. What I did in life was, try to live the good life, try to, stay healthy and active. I guess technically what got me in the situation I'm in now, there's really no diagnosis, technically no biopsies, so we're not exactly sure. It's probably a combination of genetics and potentially environmental exposures.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, was getting first symptoms back in 2012. I ended up getting shingles, and they did a scan on me just to kind of see where it was located, see if any lymph nodes were affected. And when they did that, they noticed what looked like emphysema in the scans, but they're like, oh, you're too young, this can't be emphysema, but it looks like it, we'll just keep an eye on it.
How old were you?
This is 2012, so I can't even do the math right now.
What year were you born? I guess about the same as me, so
Yeah,
closer to 30.
yeah, exactly. I think it was exactly close, maybe 32, 30, yes. Anyways, a couple years go by. I ended up going longboarding with one of my kids. I ended up taking a pretty hard fall, so we just went to the urgent care just to get an x-ray to see what damage was done, and that x-ray also confirmed that it looked like I had emphysema. Again, everyone was confused because I was so young. I rarely smoked cigarettes, and at the time I wasn't really working in the construction industry.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why maybe it's not too much environmental, more genetics. But anyways, long story short, a couple weeks of testing there. They ended up sending me to United Hospital in St. Paul, where I met a pulmonologist. They did some more testing, some pulmonary function tests. Everything came back that there was something going on, but they were still wondering if it was emphysema. So I took a alpha-1 deficiency blood test, if you know the alpha, I can't even think of the exact term.
Yeah.
But that's been ruled out several times, especially, initially, because that's what they thought it was. Again, since I'm so young and I, shouldn't have emphysema, which ultimately led me here to the University of Minnesota because the doctors at United was a little over their head and out of their realm. I came here first in 2014, I believe. And initially I just was put on a couple breathing medications. They did a bronchoscopy, which they didn't see anything. They didn't get anything out of the biopsy that was positive towards really anything that they were noticing. I got an initial somewhat diagnosis of pulmonary Langerhans cell histiocytosis, which, yeah, it's an odd disease, but I fit the book for it, for my age and kind of the symptoms. A lot of times, though, that specific sickness can go away with steroids, essentially. So we just kind of wait and saw. I took a bunch of prednisone, took my inhalers, just kind of went about life as usual for about 10 years, while constantly struggling. I really noticed one day at work, I was carrying, I don't know, a 115-pound piece of glass up the stairs, which is another hard thing to diagnose because I'm carrying a 115-pound piece of glass up the stairs. So everyone's like, yeah, you should be out of breath. But obviously
More out of breath than normal for you.
Exactly. But I was working with guys that we did it all the time, no problem. So I just knew something was definitely wrong. And just obviously going along with being followed by my team here at the U, we were doing a lot of CT scans and pulmonary function tests, maybe only 2 times a year at that point, and we were noticing a decline, not so much in most parameters, but specifically with a diffusion capacity, which is where my oxygen or my blood doesn't convert my oxygen into carbon dioxide, vice versa. It's a weird, I guess, physiological effect that my body is just, my alveolar sacs, I can't say
Alveolar or something like that.
alveolar sacs, they're like destroyed, basically. So they can't, convert. They can't put basically the oxygen.
The exchange.
Yes, the exchange is poor. And it was, 60-some% at first, and now I'm down to about 20, mid 20%. So over the past 12 years, that's what's been slowly declining. All my other parameters have been normal, pretty good. But the DLCO is what it's called. That's been slowly but surely declining to the point where I can't function without being extremely short of breath.
It's taking you 6 or 8 breaths to get what a normal person does in one shallower breath.
Something like that.
Something, yeah.
They never really gave me that ratio, but yeah, I mean, I can't, I couldn't do stairs without huffing and puffing after, the first 5 years. Then COVID came along, and
That had to be scary.
Yeah, I mean, I never really knew anxiety until that happened because, this is a respiratory issue, and COVID was respiratory, and then seeing, kind of how things were happening and handled at first, it was pretty bad. I had to take about 15 months off from work just because my doctors here at the U thought it would be, the safest bet for me.
Yep.
And unfortunately, with our disease, we want to keep pushing ourselves. We want to move as hard as we can and exercise as much as we can. However, with COVID, I was kind of limited because we were all kind of quarantined inside for a long time. And then I just wasn't as physically active as I was. And obviously I was crazy physically active. Even with the disease, I was still doing quite a bit.
Yeah, outworking the younger kids.
Yeah, I mean, teach them how to go, and exactly, work in circles around a lot of them.
Love it.
However, I went back to the same job, but in a different facet, opposed to working circles around people and installing we did a lot of glass enclosures. I wasn't really exposed to any glass dust, or I wasn't working in like a factory where I was inhaling a lot of stuff. And I've been wearing a mask since before COVID, right around my diagnosis. I've been wearing a mask just because I wanted to, slow the progress.
Yep.
But yeah, I went back to a different facet at the job, doing all like the estimates and measuring. So I wasn't really actively in the job sites per se, doing hands-on construction work for a full-time job. My full-time job was to go out and look at everything, measure everything, talk to the customers, assess how we were going to move forward. And from time to time, I still did some installs and, did some things here and there that required, the knowledge and just the physical side of it. But I was just,
Yeah.
as every year passed, I was just getting slower and slower, just go to these houses and see how much stairs I had to go up just to get up to their bathrooms and talk to them about their shower. And, I wasn't carrying anything except for my tape measure, my pencil. And I'd get to the top of the stairs and I would just be completely out of breath waiting to talk to these customers about their job. My face would be super red. I'd be huffing and puffing, all, while trying to, hide it, because, that's kind of what we do as guys. But, I just knew this day was going to come, unfortunately, because it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Ultimately, which led me to June of 2025. I just started getting sick. I just felt maybe like I had a cold. I wasn't really coughing up or, hacking. I never really have done that or continue to do that. But I thought I had like the flu or something.
Yep.
I was just sick. Had a lot of GI issues. And then all of a sudden, one day, my breathing got really, really bad to the point where I was wearing my oxygen out of the canisters that would deliver me more of the oxygen that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the days just got longer, and I thought I was going to get by with the oxygen I had, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
So
needing more and more, almost daily, it seemed, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up, one of my kids actually came and brought me to the emergency room, which also wound me up here at the University of Minnesota, where I basically was treated for pneumonia, even though they're not still quite sure what it was. They're thinking it was probably just a flare-up or an exacerbation of my disease. So yeah, they treated me with a bunch of steroids, and ever since June, I've been on oxygen ever since. And
Which is a while. That's I had my transplant in June, and so that's between 8 and 9 months.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are on it longer, but again, I was actually prescribed it back in 2018, but I never wore it. Again, getting back to the tough guy syndrome and just denial, obviously. So ultimately, I've been on the oxygen since June. That's when you and I linked up randomly, which has been great. And then tried to get, I did get back to somewhat of a baseline, because when I first was discharged out of the hospital, I couldn't take a shower by myself. I was having a hard time even using the bathroom by myself. Fast forward, 6-7 months later, I got back to being able to do most things.
Yeah.
However, I was on full oxygen with any exertion, and that was new for me. And I, just trying to shovel my driveway, I needed to be on 8 liters of oxygen, and I was
That's tough.
really struggling even with 8 liters. But I'd still.
I always tried to be active. When I first met you, we only physically met just a week ago.
Sure.
I remember you had a backpack with a couple oxygen tanks in there, so you could be more active and not tied to just one, which only lasts depending upon your need, half hour to 2 hours, depending upon what you're doing. And it's definitely a life change. What ended up to get you here where you're at right now? You got a tube hanging out of you.
Yep, I got, here's one of my drain tubes, my oxygen tube. I was on Monday, the 3rd of February, I was snow blowing my driveway, again on 8 liters of oxygen. It was difficult, but I got through it. Went upstairs, kind of did my usual thing, got in the shower, just kind of laid in bed with my dogs, watched a movie, was fine for the most part. A few hours later, I got up to go make something to eat, and then all of a sudden, just something went in my chest. It felt like, I didn't know if it was heartburn. I was 100% super short of breath. I could not take a full breath in, so I kind of knew right then and there, I think this is not good. I tried to sleep it off, basically. I got through the rest of the day.
Another thing us guys tend to do.
Yeah, the pain subsided a little bit. I took a little bit extra prednisone, hoping that would help if it was just inflammation. I woke up at about 1, and it was still the worst. It was still just as bad. I couldn't breathe at all. I couldn't take a full breath in. So we rushed into the emergency room. They ended up giving me a scan, and my lung was almost completely collapsed on my right side. They ended up reinflating it with the tube here, and I stayed at that hospital, Woodwinds out in Woodbury, for about 36 hours, and we realized that the leak in my lung was not going to seal itself back up, so they transferred me here to the U of M to potentially do some sort of intervening with these things that are called endobronchial valves. Turns out we did not end up doing that. We expedited the lung transplant evaluation. I could get into that as well. I also did that earlier, thankfully, down at Mayo Clinic, so I got a lot of the workup already done before my pneumothorax. But yeah, I got the pneumothorax. I'm on this tube right now that's connected to a suction full time, and if I lose suction, my lung will deflate again, and I'm going to be in trouble. Yep. So yeah, I've been stuck here to this machine now for a little over 3 weeks, and I've been approved to get a lung transplant, and I just went on the list yesterday, and literally any second this phone could ring and life's going to change.
You don't have it on completely silent for the...
No.
Okay,
no,
you can see it there.
It's on, it's ready to go, and...
They'll probably come up and knock on the door.
I heard that could happen as well. I could get someone, a nurse could come in and NPO me at any second, but I was also told I'll most likely also get a random number popped up on my phone, and no matter who it is, answer it. So just kind of playing the waiting game right now. I'm definitely in the right place. I'm where I need to be. This is definitely not at all how I expected it to happen. I've known this was going to happen, or we've talked about it for 12 years now, and it's, you know, it's kind of surreal and profound for it to unfold this way. I'd like to think everything happens for a reason, but this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my spirits up, trying to, you know, keep my physical activity up, trying to keep my weight up, you know, to try and go into this as strong as possible. And
how are you feeling? You know, obviously, I know how I felt when I found out I was on the list. How are you know what did you feel? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I just found out, you know, about 24 hours ago. So it's tough. You know, I'm still pretty numb to it. I'm still trying to process it. Granted, I've, you know, been facing this for a very, very long time, and that's something you and I've talked about. Is yours progressed?
I had about 1.5 years from diagnosis to transplant, which is rough on its own, but
yeah, it's just
some fortunate things that I wasn't living with it for the last 12 or 15 years.
Right. What's the lesser of the evils?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we've had completely different perspectives. That's ultimately going to lead us to the same outcome.
Correct.
So how, you know, I really don't know. I mean, I'm trying to stay positive. I know that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, I got great support, so I really appreciate, you know, everything you've done for me. Definitely, man. I mean, it's, you know, like when we first text, I believe a lot in synchronicities and just kind of the way, you know, things happen. And, you know, I've got a great support network, especially with people that have been through it, like yourself. It's funny, right before we had this conversation, my phone rang, and it was another buddy I met about 3 years ago who also had a lung transplant here at the University of Minnesota. So all three of us actually just talked for the first time, you know, so I think hopefully the stars are aligned for all of us, and, you know, we're going to have, you know, this special bond moving forward.
I've never met another lung transplant patient other than in pulmonary rehab afterwards.
Okay.
And at least that I know of, you know.
Yeah.
It's cool. I'm glad to be able to help you out, because I didn't have anyone. You know, because it all happened so quick, and you go online and it's, you know, it's nothing but bad news. And
sure.
You know, your friend is beating the expectations. I'm still, you know, I'm still in the early recovery phase, and yeah, you're just about to go through it. I'm going to check the camera real quick just to make sure it doesn't shut off, because I'm new to it. I'm just going to start. How's your wife Amy taking it all?
It's pretty tough for her. Again, she's been dealing with this for many, many years with me as well. I know caretakers, you know, they've got it just as bad, if not worse, because there's
you just have to lay there. They have to.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to go home and, you know, deal with the regular life and everything. And this room is your life for the most part for now.
Yeah, and for the past 7, 8 months, I haven't been able to bring the trash out. I haven't been able to cut the grass, bring a load of laundry up the stairs. I mean, I technically could, but she's been, awesome. And
Yeah.
she's just been helpful as, they want to do whatever they can to help us. But, unfortunately, there's nothing on the physiological side of like fixing us that they can do.
Exactly.
But she's there definitely emotionally and physically, which is for guys our age. It's that's a whole other. For us, for me at least, it's really hard to have her watch her do everything, and I want to help her.
Exactly.
And I just can't. But she's been great.
Carrying
Thankfully,
a case of water out of the car into the home, and you're like,
especially the case of water.
I can't do anything. That is frustrating.
Yeah,
to
it's definitely
experience.
It's a shot to the ego for sure. Again, working in the labor industry myself, just trying to always get things done.
Yep.
My biggest thing is just trying to let go of the control, which obviously I don't have anymore. But to have her as help has been she's my angel basically. I call her. Thankfully, you were gracious enough to introduce your wife to Amy the other day, and hopefully again that'll be a great relationship moving forward. Just for a support system that they're definitely gonna, it's a rare thing for guys our age, to have to go through, and especially being in such close proximity, it's quite the coincidence.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping we all can lean on one another. But she's not new to this, but she's new to this part of it.
Yep.
And her family is great. They're great support, but they don't know what to say or do either because this is so out of the realm.
Anything I can do, let me know. And beyond that, I've said it however many times in life, and beyond that, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I really appreciate, any sort of support that we get. Obviously just talking about anyone's problems, pain's not a contest. Our lung transplants, are something, but someone else is dealing with something. Everyone's dealing with something.
Yeah.
And it's good just to have, support, obviously.
What are you both most looking forward to? Obviously, other than leaving this room and going home.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about it. It's kind of tough for me. I'm looking forward to a lot of things, but it's really hard for me to, visualize them and, almost believe it's going to happen because I have dealt with this for so long. I don't even remember what it feels like to breathe normally. So it's hard for me to, have a specific checklist. I do have goals. I do have my bucket list, but I'm also, I've been downtrodden for so many years.
Yeah.
It's just super hard for me to, like, this, I'm gonna do this, and this, because it's just kind of, beaten me into submission over the past several years.
It's understandable.
But, I would, for one, I want to be able to help my wife take a thing of water up the stairs. That would be great. I know I got a lot of lifting restrictions for sure.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while till I get there.
The 3 months of 5-pound push-pull, and that's combined both arms, is
Yep.
it's pretty rough, and it takes a toll on the upper body. I'm, like I said, I'm coming up on 9 months out, and it's still, I'm, like a 12-year-old boy could probably wrestle me and win.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost a lot of muscle myself. I used to be 190 pounds, got down to 138
Wow.
when I was in the hospital over there back in June. Now I'm up to like 165.
Good.
But just, I got dogs. I like to walk my dogs, just little things. I got actually a 28 and a 29-year-old stepsons, 2 of them. And we have plans. We would like to go out to Colorado and go snowboarding. I mean, we used to, like I first got diagnosed, we used to go longboarding and skateboarding. And
Is that up top on your bucket list for once you're healthy again?
definitely is to, I was just talking to one of them last night on FaceTime, and, he's already got the plan in place on where we're going to go. He's going to pay for it. He's, because that used to be our thing, was we'd go snowboarding all the time. So that's a huge one of mine. But again, I got to, be pragmatic about it. I got to, like you said, get out of this room.
Yep.
And then I got to get out of the operating room, then get out of this room.
Yeah.
And then get
You
out
gotta
of my
set the
bedroom.
goals high though too. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I want to, I really, I see success stories, yourself included. I know you're still new to it, but man, to think, where I'm at now, you were here just not too
Yeah.
long ago, and it's still surreal to
I
me.
stayed just a couple of rooms down. I got the phone call at home. I wasn't in the hospital, but
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, at 2 a.m. after I was extremely rare too of 32 hours on the list, 36 hours on the list, and my phone lit up at 2 o'clock on the money on Sunday morning, and yeah, for many times in this process, from initial diagnosis and then the exacerbation that led you here and led me to my transplant. You have some moments that you'll never forget because they just change your life, and but this one's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do, and hopefully you can outpace me in my recovery. It's cool. What else do you have on your bucket list plans?
well, I'd definitely like to travel. One of my other kid, he's my other stepson. I call them my kids, even though they're grown men. He's got a Sprinter van with all the bells and whistles in it, with a bed and a bathroom, kitchenette. And they said, him and his wife, or fiance, they said anytime we want to, we can use it. So that's definitely on the list, is to travel as much as we can, see as much as we can. Maybe someday go flying. My other son, he wants to get married in Thailand because his now fiance, she's Thai. I don't know if I'm going to do the 25-hour flight. Maybe, but that could be a challenge. I don't know if I want to be on an airplane that long though. But definitely travel. Obviously, just not take any breath for granted. Literally, make memories.
Yeah.
Make memories of my family, my friends, and leave memories for my family and friends.
Oh yeah.
That's basically what I'm trying to get out of this.
Yeah.
And for my donor, obviously.
Yeah. What do you want to? Just to anyone that wonders if it's, if they should check the box being a donor, what would you say to those people, and what would you say to people that are listed as donors?
Thank you. I would highly recommend it. You're going to save someone's life, including, mine will hopefully be saved because of someone's, selflessness. My box has been checked since I've been 16.
Same.
Second I got my license. Yeah, it's the ultimate sacrifice and gift, if you will. And if there's anything good that can come out of such a terrible set of circumstances, you're able to help, many people potentially, save many lives and make memories for other families and loved ones. So it's very important. Obviously, I know the sacrifice that's going to be made for me and what happened for you. So it's hard to wrap your head around, because what you've received comes at the ultimate cost. And if I could still be a donor after this, I'm 100% going to be.
You can. It's one of the questions asked Margette.
Sure.
And I said, so I suppose, once I get a transplant, I can't be a donor anymore. She said, well, leave it checked. Let the doctors figure it out. New advances come, and they might be able to use some bone or
Sure.
Your cornea, things like that. And so I just updated my license this winter and got to recheck that box. And man, checking that box felt different this time.
Absolutely, I can imagine.
And yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and I hope to follow you along and everything.
Sure.
And have some follow-ups, and hopefully won't be in this room. Yeah, any last bit things you want to say, or?
Well, again, the listing news is still pretty fresh, so I apologize if I've been obviously ranting and rambling. That's just something I do, especially for a guy who can't breathe. I sure as heck know how to talk. Thank you. I definitely want to say thank you to you, because this has, been such a godsend. Your mentorship through all this, and just your knowledge and your experience has been, very, very helpful. It means everything to me. And to anybody who's watching that, feels like they can't get through it. Trust me, I'm kind of feeling it right now that I can't get through it, but I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get through it, to make more memories and to make the most out of, the second chance I'll hopefully be given. So don't give up.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing yourself. Try to always do the right thing.
Yeah, people at our age, it's it's unfortunate that we need a transplant so young, and it's extraordinarily rare. It's about 3,000 people in the U.S. have a lung transplant every year. People our age, I'd imagine, is closer to a handful, 50, a couple hundred maybe. I'm not sure what the number is. And with us, the benefit of it is that, without a transplant, I'd likely be dead by now, and you'd probably never get the chest tube taken off. And it gives us not only 5 or 10 more years, it potentially, there's a chance I might see 70 or 80. It's whether or not that happens, we'll find out. But that goes the same for everybody.
Sure.
There's no guarantees. It's as I say, we all bought a raffle ticket in life. You and I just bought a few more than the average person. I'm excited to potentially get there. One of the things that I was worried about, and I'm sure you were too, in the whole listing process and everything is, will I be approved for the list? Will they find something that makes me ineligible?
Right.
They find a little speck of cancer or something, you might be taken off the list for 6 months or longer. And do you have that long? And so getting to that major milestone of being listed is, to me, that was like a big relief. But then all of a sudden you have the weight of someone in their family has to have the worst moment imaginable.
Exactly.
For you and your family to have the best moment imaginable.
Yep.
And
it's quite the paradox.
I got shivers running down my spine and everything. It's still, I remember that clearly. So.
Yeah, I'm there right now, and again, the phone could ring at any second. So, like I said, it's still really fresh, and just have to take it a day at a time. I know that sounds cliche or whatever, but right now we're kind of at a day at a time, and then unfortunately after the surgery it'll be 1, 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes at a time to hopefully get back to this day at a time, and then not take any of those moments for granted. Just again, live in the moment, do what we can do while we can do it. So
after transplant, do your best to try. I know it's tough because you get on all kinds of drugs, and I was in really rough shape with mine, and you'll probably be just breezing right past where I was. But really try and remember that first breath. That's something I will never forget. Cold air. It was summertime, and down on the 3rd floor, and it was super cold down there, and they have you cough, and the tube comes out, completely painless. And I took this breath, and I felt this cold air rush down my throat and into the lungs, and it just felt so great. And then they put high flow, heated, humidified oxygen on, and that feeling went away, and I was kind of bummed. But it was a really cool experience, and interested in seeing what you think of it.
Well, hopefully I can let you know.
Yeah.
'Cause, again, it's been so long. I mean, I'll just, I'm trying to picture it, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
But
I can't imagine.
Hopefully get there and you can make a reaction video. That'd be great.
Exactly. Get a view of you running down the hallway when I was just simply walking. That's how it's going to go. So.
Hopefully.
Cool.
I mean, no offense to you, but yep.
No, it's story of my life. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, and
thank you.
I will talk to you soon. I know you got to get
appreciate
running, and for a guy in the hospital, he's a busy guy.
I guess so. I guess this is the day. I got everyone's trying to talk with me, so I appreciate it. Thanks
Exactly.
again. We'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
I know you got that phone call coming up at
What time is it?
4:59.
Oh, look at that timing. Perfect.
That is perfect. Let me get this.
And